Well, evidence is pouring from the witness stand in the Alex Murdaugh double murder trial. With me right now, crime scene expert, the founder and director of the Cold Case Research Institute, and star of a hit new podcast, Zone 7, Sheryl McCollum is with me. Sheryl, I know that by now you have seen what the jury saw in the last hours. That is the videotaped. Isn't it great that statements are now videotaped? That's something I want to talk about. But the videotape of Alex Murdaugh speaking to police, and this really hit me. I don't know if you saw the same thing, Sheryl, but they're talking, and the cop says, "Did you murder your wife?" And he goes, "No." And he asks, "Did you murder your son?" Murdoch says, "No." And then finally Murdoch says, "Am I a suspect?"
Yeah.
And the cop basically says, "Yes." Yeah, much nicer than that. And he just sits there with his arms and his legs crossed. If someone accused me of murdering, I don't even want to say the words, my husband or my son or my little girl, I would go crazy on them. He just sat there. No reaction at all.
Point. Yep, that was the point in that whole interview where he should have lost his mind. He should have gone straight for that lieutenant and told him, "You are wasting time talking to me when you should be out there finding who did this." Because again, Nancy, Alex Murdaugh should have some concern about his other child, Buster. If people are out there killing Murdaugh, they've already killed the two that were the least of a threat.
Hey,
you've killed
Sheryl,
the wife.
I'm going to go off the video for just one moment. But again, how I wish all of the confessions or statements I ever introduced in court had been videoed, because without a video, that gives the defense a chance to go, "Oh, he was beaten into giving a video." No, because in his book and photo, he's perfectly pristine. Or he was coerced, or he had been awake for 72 hours straight. He couldn't even open his eyes. You know, it goes on and on and on. But with these videos, I love them because you get to see exactly what's happening. And I mean, I don't know how much more delicately this agent could have put it. You know, he basically said, "Well, you know, I've just got to follow where the evidence takes me." In essence, hey, I want to talk to you. I'm going to circle back, Sheryl, but I want to talk to you about Miss Proctor, Marion Proctor, and that is Maggie Murdoch's sister. Wow. You made me think of it just then. Did she drop a bomb when she said,
"Oh, yeah.
Alex didn't seem to be worried at all that there was a mad killer running around? I mean, Buster is still out and about. Murdoch is still out and about. Aren't they worried they're going to get killed?"
And that's something you and I talked about a few weeks ago, that, you know, you've got all this money, you've got all this land, but you don't hire security. You don't even freaking have cameras up at your house. You're not worried that, you know, Buster's just going around his normal routine. Nobody's closing ranks. Nobody's protecting this family, knowing that there's some crazed maniac around. And I'll tell you something else, Nancy, it was pretty obvious to me. Even the community at large did not think there was a madman running around killing people.
And never once. I mean, Sheryl, I would be lying on the courthouse steps screaming, "Find the killer. Stop questioning me. Go find the killer. Here's my DNA. Here's my statement. Here's my fingerprints. Take it all. Do what you want, but help me find the killer." Did he put up a poster? No. Did he create a command center? No. Did he demand justice or go on TV asking the public to help find the killer? Tip line? Nothing, Sheryl. I mean, did he even make a tip line? Jackie, did he even say? No, he did not set up a tip line. Nothing.
No, but you know what he did do? He offered some reward money that had an expiration date.
I guess it would coincide with the end of a demand for speedy trial time. A reward with an expiration date.
Yeah, I mean, I want to find out who did it, but only in the next couple of weeks. And
I mean,
then, you know.
Sheryl, what if somebody came up and accused you of killing your son?
I can't even tell you how I would start burning stuff down.
I guess the first thing you do is jerk a knot in their neck.
And then I'll tell you what I would do. I would do the same thing that Murdoch should have done. I've got connections. I know you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to call everybody that I know. How many retired detectives does Murdoch know? How many do I know? I would be on that phone, getting any help that I could from anybody I could. You want to talk making a deal with the devil? I would do it tonight to avenge anybody in my family.
You know, I'm thinking back on everything that he was saying in that interview. When he was asked about changing his wardrobe change that day, he's like, what time was that? No, I don't think that's the right time.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, explain to me why you're changing your clothes in the middle of the day for no reason. Why did he need a wardrobe change? What happened to those clothes? That's what I would want to know.
Absolutely. And remember, this was his third interview. This wasn't the first interview. So when he gets around to saying, did you kill your wife? He doesn't say no. He says, did I kill my wife? He answers with a question. On your third interview, and like you said, he never changed his stance. He was sitting cross-legged with his arms folded. He wasn't angry. He wasn't disgusted. He wasn't fed up with, police not doing their job. He just answered the question with a question, and then he moved on. Like, I don't know when I changed my clothes. I'm not sure what time I got there. Maybe my time is off. Maybe your time is off.
I always think about Mark Class, who lost his daughter, Polly.
Yes.
She was kidnapped during a sleepover at her own home and sex assaulted and murdered. And the first thing, of course, cops do is they go to Mark Class, her father, founder now of Class Kids Foundation. And he says, here, take my blood, take my fingerprints, look at my place, go look at my office, look at my car, do whatever you want, but hurry so you can find my daughter. That's the gold standard right there. And Murdoch did nothing like that. And I remember what I want to talk to you about, Sheryl. Sheryl, have you heard what happened? I guess this is going to be the defense theory that a cowboy gang, which my top secret sources tell me is spelled Cowboi. They just had to change it up a little. I wonder if they put a heart over that I. I don't know, but cowboy, I guess is how you would say that. Anyway, listen to this, Sheryl. I hope you're sitting down. So this is what the defense came up with on cross-examination. Well, officer, did you ever look into the drug dealer? So they opened that door, so now the state can talk about Curtis Edward Smith, Alex Murdaugh's doper. And he, Curtis Edward Smith, owed thousands of dollars to this cowboy gang. Did you ever think they might be a suspect? Really? I mean, they've been, you know what? They should play Godfather, the Godfather. How you go and kill the target's family. That happened in a movie. That doesn't really happen in real life. If they wanted to get back at Curtis Edward Smith, they'd kill him or his family, not the cash cow, Alex Murdaugh's family. That doesn't even make sense.
And here's what's really bogus about that. You don't kill the wife. I mean, that's pretty much across the board. The women are not involved in these hits with these gangs. On top of that, how would the gang know they were going to be at that house? They weren't supposed to be. Alex coasted them there. Well, what kind of bad luck is that? I'm at my beach house chilling. You call me to come over there to the ranch. I don't want to go, but I go anyway because I know my child's going to show up there. And that's when I'm hit with a hit man. Never going to happen. Didn't happen.
Excuse me.
And let me say this.
Boy gang. That Curtis Edward Smith owes money to them. So they come kill Murdoch? That doesn't even make any sense, Sheryl.
Of course it doesn't. And that, Cousin Eddie, they call him, who can fail at shooting somebody in the head when they're knelt down on the side of the ground and you walk right up to them.
And again, can I point out, if they wanted Alex Murdaugh dead, if the plan was for Curtis Edward Smith to kill Murdaugh, he would have just pulled the trigger a second time. That was not the plan. I'm telling you. I still think And someone wrote online, Cheryl, that in the Netflix special on this case, I guess it was Hartpulian stated there was no insurance money, so that could not have been the motive. So if there is no insurance money on Murdoch or Maggie, which I find really hard to believe, then getting shot in the head would not help. It would not benefit anyone because there would not be any insurance proceeds.
All that stuff was for sympathy. He wanted to get everything off of anything else that was going on, the stealing, the
I don't think that was it, Cheryl. I don't think it was for sympathy. I think he had Smith shoot him so cops could then extrapolate that he had been the target all along, that Maggie and Paul were collateral damage in a hit that was meant for him, except he had just left just moments before. He leaves, the assailant comes up and kills Maggie and Paul. That's what I think.
No, you're absolutely right. But what I'm trying to say is when that happened, look what was going to happen in this chain reaction. His siblings, the sister-in-law, everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. We even for a moment thought you had something to do with it. There's clearly this crazed person out there. It was a twofold gig, but by him getting that sympathy, I'm telling you, he thought he was turning that Titanic around.
You know, I'm just thinking how he can sit in the courtroom and hear all this evidence and just sit there and suck on his lifesaver. I just want them to move the trial along because we've already lost 3 jurors. And they had 6 alternates to start with. They're down to 3. And you know, Cheryl, there's no question about it. If they sink to 11, then the defense has a right to 12 people on the jury. They could stipulate to less, but they don't have to. And they would absolutely go for a mistrial and make the state do it all over again. I mean, it would benefit them, right?
It would, no question. They want this to end. This is bad.
You know, I'm just thinking also about the number of bullets, the number of gunshot wounds. What does that say to you, Cheryl?
That this person hunted them. It didn't take what happened to them to successfully commit a murder. This person walked right up on Paul and shot him, and then shot him again when he was on the ground. I believe Maggie was running for her life, literally, because I think she saw what happened to her baby. And when she's shot, she hits the ground immediately. And this person, again, walks up to her and shoots her 4 more times.
The second fatal wound was a shot fired directly into Maggie Murdaugh's head.
That's right. That's right. And again, it didn't take the other 3 shots. And
think about it, Cheryl. What motive? There was no theft. There was no sex attack. Nothing.
Nope. There was no threat. There hasn't been anything since. And even when Murdaugh is asked, he says, does this mean I'm a suspect, or so does that mean I'm a suspect? He says nothing after the detective says, there's nobody else for me to look at. I mean, the evidence only leads to you. That man says nothing.
Even if he were innocent, which I do not believe he's innocent, at that point, I would assume he would say, look, you've got it all wrong, but whatever you want out of me, take it. I'll talk to you as long as you want me to. I'll give you whatever you want. But please, you've got to be out there looking for my wife and my son's killer. He never facilitated that. He never enabled that for law enforcement.
Nope. He hasn't begged anybody for help.
Do you believe the jury can see through this?
Yes, 100%. The jury is going to know, even from their own gut feeling of what they might do in this situation. You would beg for help. You would have a family press conference where you beg the community. Did anybody see a car? Did anybody hear anything? You would demand that Lieutenant Owen go to the Department of Corrections. Anybody bragging about this? Anybody heard anything? You would compel, other street gangs, because, gangs have, beef with each other. Well, who hates the Cowboys? Well, then go ask them. Have you heard anything about them being responsible? None of that has taken place here. The community is not demanding that police find the real killer. Nobody was worried about it. The Murdaughs that night with the brothers in that house, all they were asking about is, when can we go to the funeral home? They weren't asking, when are you going to put handcuffs on somebody?
Got a question for you. Do you think that there is any chance Alex Murdaugh will take the stand?
0.
Agree. Okay. Well, we settled it all. Sheryl McCollum, I'm going back in the courtroom. Bye, buddy.